Welcome to this month in Versus. Yay! Might I just start this by saying I believe this is one of the best months we've had in Versus. Not in a long time, just it's one of the best months in general. A lot of good content was put out, a lot of good analysis portions. So I'm really excited to get into this, even if it's just a short little thing. Welcome, my friends, to a month in Versus. Darth Vader versus Obito, Star Wars versus Naruto on Versus Universe. I'm not gonna lie, going into this episode, this was probably the episode I was least excited for the entire season. I'm really not all too big of a fan of either series, and I don't really like this matchup. I never really found interest in it. But that basically all changed once Vader and Obito's analysis portions got started, because, might I say, I suddenly became very, very invested in both of these characters. Specifically Obito. I don't know what it was, but just something about his analysis just made me want to watch Naruto, which is a feeling I've never really gotten from a death battle with a Naruto character or something like that. And I've got to say, this is the first time where a versus show has gotten me to start watching an anime, as I did recently start watching Naruto because of this episode. I wanted to learn about all these characters. I wanted to know where Obito begins, when I get to see him. And really, I think that's the best thing a versus analysis can do. Make you interested in a character you may not have thought you'd be interested in. Darth Vader's was also very good. It's Darth Vader. Everyone knows who Darth Vader is. If honestly, one of my few complaints is just the music was very loud in Vader's analysis, and it kind of got distracting. So I had to pull up the documents, which took time out of my investment. Still, not too bad. It didn't last for too long, and I really didn't need the document. I still read through it. It's a really good script. So if y'all have free time and don't want to do schoolwork, y'all should do that. Read Obito versus Vader. But the fight described is very good. I'm not gonna lie. Versus Universe has had 3 fight descriptions that have absolutely blown me away. And I think that's awesome. Some because they're just plain funny, and others just because of how good they are, how well written they are, how I can visualize this even while not knowing anything about the character, Obito, once again, And I understood what was happening. It just everything meshed together very well. I felt like both got to use quite a few abilities. I don't necessarily remember a lot, but I feel like Obito got to use a lot. I'm pretty sure. I honestly don't know that much about Naruto, so once again, forgive me. I'm pretty sure he used the 10-tailed beast, right? And he used the kunai. I think that's the dimension teleporter he has, right, on Vader. I just thought that was cool. It's just so cool. But I think personally the coolest part for me, Vader's ending. The ending where Vader wins is just I really don't know if it's in character. I believe it is, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan. But it just was it was such a good way to end it. It gave me a sense of dread for the Star Wars universe. And that's awesome. I really enjoyed the talking, the fight. The post-analysis was also quite good. I just don't have that much to say about it. Overall, I'd have to give this episode a 9 out of 10. It made me watch Naruto. If I were to say an episode you should start on for Versus Universe, I think it's either this one or Ganondorf versus Rao. Both of those episodes are probably up there in my top 50 favorite Versus episodes. The Grinch versus Jack Skellington. The Grinch versus The Nightmare Before Christmas on Fictional Fisticuffs. Fictional Fisticuffs is a versus show I knew about, but I never actually had watched. I'd only watched Detective Pikachu versus Duckman, which was a very good episode, but I didn't watch anything afterwards, and then 6 months later, all of a sudden, The series is back after like a couple of months of hiatus, which is awesome because we got this episode. One of, personally, my most wanted versus matchups, like for any versus show to do. And now I don't really want another versus show to do it since I don't think it can be topped. The analysis portion, there's so much. I didn't know how long it was. I thought I had been there for 10 minutes. It turns out I'd been there for like 25 minutes, and I didn't even realize. That's what a good analysis does. It makes you lose track of everything. It makes you so invested. It keeps you there. It hooks you immediately. And that's just what this episode did. I learned about so much extended material for the Grinch. I did not need to know how much extended material there was for the Grinch. Yet I was so invested in this extended material. It made me just so happy to see this episode come to life. But I can't forget about the fight portion. And might I say, it's like all done in rhyme. Like, how much time was put into like those rhymes? Since they're really good rhymes, might I say. I can't pull one off the top of my head, but just this entire episode, the dialogue is just rhyming and rhyming and rhyming. It fits these characters so well. It fits the feeling of Christmas in a strange way. I guess it's because of the Grinch, of course. Just all of the writing is so good for the interactions between the characters. I do think, though, and this may have honestly just been me, if I rewatch the episode, this problem might not even come up. But it honestly felt like Jack was kind of just being tossed around the entire fight. And spoilers from here onwards, I probably should put that in the beginning of the video. Jack does lose this bout. It's very close. Stupidly close. Like, Jack and the Grinch counter each other very well. And if the Grinch had tossed around Jack the entire fight, only leading up to his eventual defeat, then that would have been great. But since the Grinch ended up winning, it just felt very one-sided, and like there was a bit of a bias. I'm sure there wasn't. But for me, that's how it came across. Not that that's bad. It honestly did not affect the fight, and it still ended in a very good way. It still ended happily. It's like happily conclusion. They're all singing along, singing a Christmas song, la 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 la. It's just good. The post-analysis is one of the best I've seen in a versus show. It basically covers everything you might have thought of. It's just everything about this episode comes together so well. And I'm not gonna lie, one of the best versus episodes I've ever seen. A solid 10 out of 10. Pokemon Battle Royale Part 2 on Galaxy Grudge Match. I don't have a lot to say on this episode. Honestly, it wraps itself up nicely. Just it explains, it gives good reasoning. The comments are fun to listen to. It's fun to see the different reasonings why people think, oh, my Pokemon is better than yours. It's just dumb fun. Next time is honestly, though, like, that has me hyped. It's basically a bunch of it's a bunch of movie cars just basically being thrown into Twisted Metal, and I just think that's funny. Overall, for both parts, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Really good, just nothing for me to really say on it. In a bit of a different versus news, I found this channel a little while ago. It's called Fan Battle, and they seem to be a new versus series that wants to be very connected with the fans. I've listened to their Mario.exe, Devil Mario, I think it is, versus Sonic.exe fight track, and it's sounding really good. I saw a sneak peek of the animation. It's looking really good. So please go out and support them, subscribe if you can, and please, make them grow. I'm happy to see new verses. Omni Man versus Saitama on Rewind Rumble. Invincible versus One Punch Man. I don't have much to say here. It was a 3D animated fight, and it was pretty solid, but there really wasn't much to it. There wasn't a lot of fighting. It was kind of just a few punches thrown. Then Nolan had his think to himself scene, where he gets thrown halfway across the world, and then he comes back, tries to throw a city, and Saitama kills him. It's it's kind of okay. It's like, I don't mean to put down the animator. It was very good. The fight, the pre-analysis, I'm not one for, I don't know why, but the normal Rewind Rumble analysis, like the one from season 1 and the actual main course episodes, very good. I love them. But the Cartoon Fight Club type of analysis isn't getting through to me very well anymore. And it's made me have to skip a couple of analyses for that reason. I'm very sorry about that. I feel bad, but that's just how I feel. Though I will say, this episode did show me that Rewind has gotten a lot better at post-analyses. Or maybe he was always good at post-analyses. I don't know. I just realized I was enjoying watching the post-analysis, and that was fun. It was short and sweet. So, yeah. Spoilers on this one, by the way. Invincible versus Gohan. Invincible versus Dragon Ball. On Cartoon Fight Club. In short, the pre-analysis was just okay. It was fine. The post-analysis was great. Basically just this, yeah. The fight is what I want to focus on for this episode, and might I say, yes, for basically 95% of the fight, I'm completely into it. I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. It looks fabulous. And then the ending happens. Basically, Gohan is in Super Saiyan, this is Kid Gohan, by the way, is in, Super Saiyan 2 or 3, I honestly don't know. And, Invincible is powering through, and then all of a sudden Goku comes down. And for some reason, it annoys me, because it makes me feel like Gohan couldn't have won without Goku coming down. And of course he could, from what was given to me, it was fairly obvious Gohan won. But it feels wrong. It feels like Gohan didn't actually win. It felt like he cheated his way to victory, and I'm not for it. It's still a great fight, just the ending kind of ruins it for me. Yeah, it's a solid episode. I can't really say much on this episode that hasn't been said already, but still, Saitama versus Popeye, One Punch Man versus Popeye the Sailor Man, on Death Battle. I mean, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. It's the season finale. It does everything right. Just watch it. Spoilers now. I don't know how to express this very well, but I think this episode for me gives me what I consider the greatest moment in the entirety of Versus. And that is when Saitama lands on that planet and he's giving that emotional speech about how he can finally feel like his muscles again. Like he feels like he's accomplished, like he's won. Because he found someone who can match him. He found someone. And it got one of my friends very emotional, and it got me very emotional too. I think this is very easily a 10 out of 10. That's an 11 out of 10 moment. And I'll probably do a season 8 review. And this will probably be at the top. 10 out of 10. Zitz versus Garnet, Battletoads versus Steven Universe on Fictional Characters Collide. This here is a solid episode of Versus. Starting with the pre-analysis, it's about 7 minutes long in its entirety. And you may say, oh no, only 7 minutes? Yeah, I've brought up 15-minute pre-analysis here, but, today. But I think this episode is a near perfect example of what you can do in such a short amount of time. In those 7 minutes, I got an understanding for the characters, their abilities. And these characters seemed like they had quite a bit, and it was fit into only 7 minutes. And I just find that amazing. It may have been a little longer, like it may have been closer to 8 minutes, I'm not entirely sure. But still, it's just, I love how nice it is. It's so well put together, and it doesn't have a lot of time to put it, like, I don't know. It's just a great analysis. It's short, it's sweet, it's plentiful. Solid 9 out of 10. The animation is also quite good, might I say. A chef's kiss, if you will. Garnet got to use a lot. Like, they brought up... Garnet doesn't have that many abilities, and they brought up basically everything I expected from Garnet. And it felt like they used almost all of it in the fight. Like, almost all of it was used. And Zitz got to do, like, all the Battletoad shenanigans. Like, I'm pretty sure he turned into a sink at some point. You know, he has the claws. He's got the big punchy punch. You know, both these characters just got to use a lot. I also went into this episode expecting it to be closer, because I'd heard planet level for both. They did acknowledge planet level for both. And, yeah, Garnet wins. Spoilers. So yeah, overall, a really solid episode. And by the way, both Versus Universe and Fictional Characters Collide next episode is Travis Touchdown versus Jack Kamen, which is my favorite Versus match of all time. So, I'm very excited over that, and I honestly bawled my eyes out once over one of their announcements. So yeah, I'm hyped, and I really can't wait to see what both of those shows do with it. I can't wait to see what's next for all of these shows. You know, like Death Battle Season 9 is coming out in 2 months, you know, and Tetsuo, one of my favorite villains, is going to be in it. There's so much to look forward to in the upcoming year. I hope you're all ready for 2022 Versus. Well, I am the soppiest crowd, and I'm leaving you with a final... That's a Netflix... Did y'all hear that? And I'm leaving you with a final farewell